Hey everyone, welcome back to the Time to Thrive podcast. We're your hosts, Haelle
and Anna,
and we're here for an exciting new series that we're starting. At the end of every month, we are going to be answering some of your questions.
Yep.
So we have asked some people that we know to give us some anonymous questions, and we are going to answer them.
Yeah.
They're pretty much about anything. We're going to try to answer them to the best of our abilities based on our life experiences, based on our knowledge, but base everything in a biblical and Christian perspective. So if you would like to have your questions on the podcast, leave them. You can leave them in the comments below if you don't mind them being public, or we're going to create a Google form that's going to be linked in our Instagram bio, and you can leave anonymous questions there that we will answer.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
I know which papers I wrote them on.
I just need to
okay.
put them on there we go.
Oh, what's something you're proud of but you rarely talk about?
Oh gosh. That's a good one.
If you don't want to go and do yours first.
I'll let you go first.
Let's see.
Let me think. Something
I'm proud of?
You're proud of but you rarely talk about.
What do I not talk about?
I have something.
Show and share.
So, for me, I was always thinking, I would definitely say through this year, I had a super big change with work and everything. I took a leap, and I actually had to take this big, huge test. If any financial people know, it's called the SIE, and I was so stressed. It was the very beginning, the first test that I had to take out of 3. And I was so stressed. I had never done anything in finance before. I had no background. I did not know what options or anything was. And I had about 3.5 weeks to study. And if anybody knows anything about that, it is hard. And so I tried the best I could to devote myself to studying, to seeking people who knew stuff like this. And I did pass that first one, I was so grateful. It was just the beginning, but God was good, and He definitely showed through. There was a bunch of praying going on, a bunch of people praying for me. So God really, really showed up huge, and I was just able to see Him through all of that. Because I know when I went in that testing, and right when I hit that submit button, I prayed, okay, God, this is not going to be me. It is definitely going to be You. And so He definitely got me through it. So I'm proud about that.
Yeah, that's good.
For sure. I would say that.
I actually just thought of something. I am proud of myself this year. For those of you who know, I play the piano, and I've filled in for church before, but I don't play hymns well because usually, if you look, for those of you who know music, in a hymn book, it's just usually chords that are written. And so if you play exactly what's written, it sounds very choppy. And I was classically trained in piano, so I'm so reliant on what is written on the paper. But my piano teacher wanted to work with me on how to ad-lib and to add different runs and chords, just make it sound better when playing hymns. And so whenever I was asked to play in church for the choir, I would always say, don't give me hymns. Give me something with an accompaniment where I can just play what's written. Well, then in July, I think this past year, Megan was out of town and our pianist was sick. And she was like, you have to play hymns. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. Aww. And I was so scared, but it wasn't my best playing, because I compare myself very easily. My piano teacher is amazing. She's such a good pianist, especially with church. We have a great pianist here, Miss Karen. She's amazing. Yeah. And I've not been playing anywhere near as long as they have. And so I try to get better, but I compare myself. I'm like, I'm never going to be as good as them, or I'm not as good as them. I don't want to play that way. Yeah. But I was like, okay, God, I have to play. I'm just going to trust you that it's going to work out. And it was good. For what I knew how to do. Good. I was proud of myself that I did it. Yes. And so I went to my piano teacher the next week, and I was like, I played hymns in church. Aww. And so I was awesome. It was scary, and I don't really want to do it for a little while longer until I practice more, but I was very proud of myself in that. None else are that hard. Okay, we're going to do another question.
Okay, I'm going to go.
Let's see.
I'll pick this one. Alrighty. It says, what is it? We definitely have to. It's self-hatred prideful.
I forgot that one was in there. But we can pick another one then. Let's just do your questions then.
I mean,
let's just pick different questions.
Definitely is self-hatred prideful?
We're going to have to maybe research that.
Is hating yourself being prideful?
I guess if you do it as like...
That's demeaning.
I think it can be if you do it, because some people get so, like, especially for the people who, like, outwardly and, like, audibly say, oh, I'm so bad, they're doing it for attention.
Yeah, for sure. But I wouldn't say that's just full on, like...
Oh, you want us to keep going?
I'm rolling. I love it.
Okay.
No.
So I think the question is self-hatred prideful? And I think there are some people out there who I think it is like true, they do have negative feelings for themselves, and so they outwardly and audibly say, oh, I'm bad at this, or I hate myself for this. And they could be prideful because they're doing it not so much that they want people to help them, but it's more like, oh, I want people to feel sorry for me
or look at me.
So they're doing it from a prideful and vain perspective. But I think if you're just like silently like criticizing and hating on yourself for whatever reason, I think if you're doing it so much to where you're being distracted and being blinded by the truth that God has said, if you're not actively in the Word because you're so focused on what the devil is feeding to you and what you're so focused on, I think that is prideful because you're being more focused on yourself.
True.
Than actually instead of being like, no, actually, this is what God says about me, then I think that can also be prideful, even if you're not saying it out loud.
Yeah, and like the first thing that you had said about if you're like, oh, these things are happening to me, you're like wallowing in pity because of bad things that have happened to you. Just think about Paul, his perspective. He went through awful things, was in prison, but every single time that he wrote these letters to these churches and said, this is my situation, never once did he said, I didn't ask for gifts, but you came and you gave gifts. And he said, I am going through this to glorify Christ. I have been through almost death. He said, I've had enough and I've had nothing. He says, but God has been glorified through all of it. So multiple times he said the awful situations he was in, but he never said it in a perspective of have pity on me. He always brought it back to the Lord is still good and the Lord is moving. So yeah, I agree. If you're doing it as a way of look at me, that is all prideful. But again, if you're in your room at night, you're by yourself, and I hate the way my body looks, I hate the way I think, I hate the way I talk like this, or I have a stutter, and you start demeaning yourself, that's full on just, like you said, like just hatred of yourself. And yeah, it is prideful because you're so focused on, God, you did this wrong. God, you made me speak like this. God, you made me look this way, or my body be this way.
It's putting more focus on your flaws than actually what God says about you and His Word.
Yeah.
Because we're human. We're going to have flaws. There's going to be things about ourselves that either we don't like or we can't control because we're human.
Yeah, because who is the person who said, I have a thorn in my flesh, and he's like, I'm going to live with this? Who was it? Is it Paul or Peter? Paul? Pam is behind the thing, and she told us Paul.
That's
so
what I thought.
even he said, I have this thing. We don't know what it was. A lot of people actually think it was bad eyesight, which is really interesting, but we don't know. It wasn't said. But he said, I have this thing, and it is a thorn in my flesh, and I'm living with this thing. And so maybe God has allowed you to have different things in your life where maybe it's a disformity, or you have a speech impediment, or you can't read right. We were just talking about being dyslexic, or you have ADHD, or like some part of your body doesn't look right. Maybe He gave you that actually for a purpose, and He specifically allowed you to have that maybe to glorify Him, like Paul and all these other people that we see throughout Scripture. So.
But we're also, like I said, we are human. We're going to have moments where we do either feel sorry for ourselves or something happens in life that causes us to think a certain way. But as long as we don't stay in that state, that we're like, okay, like, yes, this is happening, but this is not what God says about me. This is not what God says about the situation.
Yeah. And something I always actually think back on is in Job, when Job actually confronts God and he says, what did I do? That's basically what he's saying, is he's giving his statement before the Lord and saying, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? And it's towards the end of Job, and God confronts Job. And he says, do you not know who I am? Do you not know how I created you? Do you not realize the things I have created? It says like the Leviathan, and it talks about all these different animals and their structure and how the cosmos works. So he reminds us when we start what was the word that they called it? Yeah, self-hating on ourselves, or saying, oh, look at my life, and of course we'll get into moments like that, but he reminds us, do you not realize who I am? And he never gave Job an answer, actually. When he said, God, why in the world are you doing this to me? God never once told Job, this is why you're going through this. He just said, look at me and who I am.
Yeah.
So I think it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, that's all the time we have for today. So we will see you next time, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, and send your questions in the comments or through the Google Doc.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.